Hi, hello, I'm John Blake. I'm here today to tell you about the IELTS listening test. I want to talk about 5 different aspects. Let me begin with the format of the test. I'll move on to the tasks that you're asked to do. Then I'll give you some specific examples. The last 2 sections are basically about advice. Part 4, I'm going to be talking about general advice for listening, and the 5th section will be some specific advice on the test itself, kind of the test tips. Okay, let's begin with the format of the test. Essentially, the test is dictated by a cassette. The cassette lasts 30 minutes, which is the time of the test. However, you're not listening actively for the whole 30 minutes, which is good because you'd probably miss information. The test itself is divided into 4 sections. Each section has 10 questions. So you've got 10, 10, 10, 10. I guess that makes 40 questions. Apparently, as far as we know, each question is worth 1 mark, so that will give a total of 40 marks. There is no one section which is more important than the other sections. So basically, you have to do well in each section rather than focusing on one target section. You're given time within the 30 minutes to do other tasks. For example, reading the questions. Time is built in for you to do that. Then of course you do the listening. Time is built in for you to write down your answers. And finally, you're given time to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Don't forget, when you transfer your answers, do it carefully. If you've got the right answer in your notes, but unluckily you transfer it and put the wrong answer on the answer sheet, you get no credit for it. You could be lucky. I guess you could have the wrong answer in your notes and somehow transfer and get the right answer on the answer sheet. But I don't think it's going to happen. Take care, transfer your answers correctly. Okay, let's move on to the tasks themselves. Here I need to tell you 3 different things. The first is the kind of task that you get. Basically, IELTS is rather boring in some ways. They ask you very similar things. They'll give you multiple choice questions. Choose either answer A, B, C or D. They'll give you a sentence and you have to complete the last few words. For example, today I went to the... and then you're going to have to put in a place, we guess. They'll give you a table, but it's not complete, so you have to finish the table. Or a chart, and you have to put some remaining touches on the chart. It could be a plan of a room, and you have to label the items within the room. You could be given a sets of words, and you have to classify them according to what people say. Or it could be a matching exercise. You won't get all of these tasks, but you're likely to get some of the tasks. Okay, the second part is the actual content of each section. As I said before, we have 4 sections. The first section is basically an informal conversation. The second section is one person talking about a non-academic subject. The third section becomes more academic. You'll have up to 4 people chatting about a topic which could be either academic or at least course related. The fourth section is a lecture, a university style lecture. So if you're a university student and you've listened to the lectures in English and understood them, that should be good for you. Okay, how about the questions that you're asked? The first part, it tends to be you're asked to fill in information. It could be you have the room plan and you want to fill in words on the room plan. It could be completing a table. For the other 3 sections, it's more likely that you're given a blank and you have to fill in words or numbers in the blank. Don't forget, there's a standard rubric. If you fill in the words, they ask you to fill in not more than 3 words. I think the word is up to a maximum of 3 words. Don't put 4 because your answer will automatically be marked wrong. 1 word's great, 2 words great, 3's okay, 4 you're wrong, 5 you're wrong, 6 don't even think about it. If, however, the answer is a number, you can simply fill in the complete number. If it's a number, don't write 1200, simply write 1, 1. Oh, that's not right. Simply write 1200. Okay. Okay, in this part, let me give you some examples of questions that you may be asked. Of course, these aren't taken from IELTS papers, because they won't give them to us. We just created these examples. Have a look at the first one. The first one says, in the mornings, the student teachers will... Okay, we've got to try to guess the missing words. Now we don't know exactly what they are, but we can probably predict the parts of speech. It should be followed by a verb, so we know it's a verb form. We can have up to 3 words, so it could be verb and verb. I wonder what it is. We'll have to listen to it in a moment. The second one, student teachers could be teaching large classes with up to Again here, we've got a missing word or words, but we don't know what it is. My guess is it's a number though. But it's a number of what? People, students, tables, teachers? We're not sure, but we can make a guess, can't we? I guess that it's going to be students. Okay, how about the third one? Discussion groups are quite difficult to arrange in Vietnamese classes, but not something. What kind of word is it? I don't think it's a noun nor a verb. It says quite difficult, but not something. Difficult is an adjective, so here I guess we're looking for an adjective, but we're not sure which one. Okay, let's try it. To make it quick, I'll be the cassette, so you try and listen out for the answers. In the afternoons, in the evenings, in the mornings, the student teachers will teach and observe. Student teachers could be teaching large classes with up to 70 students. Discussion groups are quite difficult to arrange in Vietnamese classes, but are not impossible for. You probably missed many of the words because they were but did you get the main purpose? Did you get the key words? Let me give you an example of another task. Here we have 3 items which are discussed in the talk. You have to tick 3 items. Read through the list and let's check which ones are more likely. A. Teaching schedule for student teachers. B. Safety issues for student teachers on the field trip. C. Accommodation. D. How the field trip fits into the teaching degree. E. Vietnamese students' level of proficiency in English. F. How the work requirements for the field trip compare with the work requirements for student teachers who remain in Australia. G. Quality of English language teaching in Vietnamese universities. H. Textbooks commonly used in Vietnamese English classes. All of them seem possible, so we're going to have to listen carefully to get the correct answer. Okay, let's see if we can do it. Let me be the cassette and see if you can do it. Good morning everyone, welcome to the second year of your teaching degree. My name is Simon Taylor and I'm a second year lecturer in the education faculty. Today I'll be giving you an overview of your field trip to Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam that you all registered for last year. Okay, I think we have to discuss quite a few issues. The first one is going to be the schedule that you're going to follow while you're there. You'll be teaching in the morning, you'll be following courses in the afternoon, and in the evening you're going to have some teaching again. Fortunately, you're going to get a little bit of pocket money for the evening teaching. It's not so much, but it will enable you to buy a coffee or a drink. Okay, probably that pocket money is going to come in useful because unfortunately the cost of the course has got to be increased. You all wanted to stay in good accommodation, so we booked 5-star hotel accommodation for you. Unfortunately, the course now costs 3 times what it was originally advertised as. I hope that's okay with you. The final thing is safety. Now a lot of people say that it's not a safe place to go to. That's totally wrong. It's not. Some places are not safe, some places are. Where we're staying is ridiculously safe. You'll have no problem whatsoever. So there's no need to worry about anything. However, I suggest that you take the normal precautions. Don't carry too much money, don't wear Rolex watches, and behave as though you're incredibly rich. Just pretend to be normal. Okay, let me move on to the fourth section. Basically here, I want to try and give you some general advice for your listening. A lot of people say they practice listening because they watch TV, they listen to songs in English, they listen to the radio. Sure, the background noise may be English, but are you really practicing listening? To practice, you need to have a purpose. Now, if you're watching the pictures on a screen and you're just enjoying the action on the screen, you may not actually have a purpose. Give yourself a purpose. Let me give you some examples. If you're watching the news, can you pick out the who, the when, the what, and the why of a particular action? When you're watching an informal program such as Friends, a serial drama, can you pick out the names of the characters? If you can do that, then you have a purpose. But I feel that many people tend to watch TV, and not really have a fixed purpose, so they're not so focused on the listening. My suggestion is, whatever you listen to, give yourself a purpose. That is, set yourself a question. What do you want to find out? Okay, after you've listened to it, you really need to evaluate your performance. Could you get the answers to your own question? If you listen to, let's say, use the example of Friends, if you listen to Friends and at the end you still couldn't name the characters, is that because your listening was poor? Is that because you missed the words? Is that because the words weren't mentioned? My guess is the characters' names were mentioned, but you missed them. How about the news? Did you listen to the headlines? Could you get the when, the where, the why, the whos? If you could, then great. If you couldn't, you've got to think, why did you miss it? It could be that your vocabulary was limited in that area. It could be that it wasn't mentioned. But it's much more likely that your listening wasn't good enough or the vocabulary was too complex for you. That brings us to the last part, the tips for IELTS. The most important tip I want to give you is that you have to study. You can't suddenly practice one day before the test and expect to improve. You need to follow a course of study so that you've got the best preparation possible. There are a number of books available on the market that can actually help you with that. Now, I'm not trying to publicize the book so much, I'm just trying to give you an idea that there are many books out there that you can follow. You don't have to particularly buy them, because you can come to the SIL in PolyU and use them there, providing you're a PolyU student. Okay, let me give you some examples. Here's one book, another one, oh, and a final one, and I guess there are hundreds more available. Other things you can do, you can actually practice some past papers which are available. Now, these are in book format now, but they give you a very good idea about what the test is actually going to be like. So, preparation, that's the key thing. Okay, let me move on to some more specific tips for the test itself. 1. You need to know the format of the test. Do you already know it? 4 sections. Each section has got different purposes, different types of questions. If you can't remember them, rewind this and listen again. Don't forget, 3 words. Many of the blanks require you to fill in up to a maximum of 3 words. If you fill in 4, automatically it will be marked wrong. Next one, read the instruction carefully. It's easy for me to say that, but it's actually very difficult for people to do. They tend to rush into the question, and sometimes the instruction is key and you may answer completely wrongly. So please double check the question's instruction. Next part, the question itself. Once you've read the question, had a skim through the rubrics and all the information, then you can make your best possible prediction about what the answer is going to be. Now, maybe you can't guess the exact word, but you can probably guess the type of word, whether it's a noun, an adjective, some sort of phrase. So this will really help you focus when you listen. Don't forget, you're only going to listen to it once. You can't take a chance of missing it. So try to predict the kind of word you're listening for. Ideally, even predict the particular words. If you can predict it, it's much easier to listen to it. Okay, and I guess the last point I want to mention is you only need to focus on the answer. The cassette's quite long, it'll have many words that you don't understand, many words are going to be unclear just like that, but it doesn't matter. You need to listen only for the answer. So for the parts that you don't get, don't worry about it, just focus on the answer itself. Okay, good luck with your test.